The parable of the sower shows that there are good hearts that receive God's seed of gospel truth. But there's also hard, stony, and busy hearts. Don't be one of these. Have a good heart. When we have a good heart, Jesus says we grow 30, 60, and 100 times more. And then in Mark, he says we don't even know how it happens. It just happens. This is why Paul says it is the gospel truth that produces good things from us. And this is why it's so important for us to understand the gospel and believe it and receive it and live it. God told Moses many centuries ago that he'd require us to believe the message that his prophet would come to bring us. And this prophet was Jesus, who says we must believe his gospel. Now, the book of Acts says that our lives can be hurt and even destroyed by not believing what Jesus says. Paul says we'll be judged by the secrets of our hearts, which means our beliefs. And Jesus will return to judge those who don't believe and obey his gospel, as he says in 2 Thessalonians. It's very important to God that we believe and live his gospel. Now, why do you think this is? It's because the gospel is the way he blesses us. He benefits us. He gives us all of his good kingdom stuff, all of his spiritual blessings. Outside of the gospel, hey, who knows? Life is just up for grabs outside of the gospel. And this definitely applies to salvation. If we only believe what the gospel says about salvation, we become certain and secure in the reality that we are saved and going to heaven. But if we believe anything that we might hear preached from any pulpit, anything coming down the pike, then it's uncertain what we might believe about our salvation. We're told the main reason Jesus came to earth was to give us knowledge of salvation. We're also told it was God's grace that gives us salvation. It is believing the gospel that is the power of God for our salvation. What God does is he exchanges our belief and trust in the words of Jesus for our salvation. So just believe Jesus. Plus, as a bonus, we're given abundant life here on earth, and we live in more prosperity and health in his truth. Let me repeat this. Jesus says he will turn nobody away who comes to him for salvation. So if you're uncertain you're saved, just go to Jesus and ask him for it right now.